আসসালামু আলাইকুম গাইস, তোমরা কেমন আছো? আজকে আমরা দেখবো একটা এনিমি ভিডিও। তো এটা অনেকক্ষণের, 58 মিনিট আর 2 সেকেন্ড, প্রায় একদম এক ঘন্টার একটা ভিডিও। তো বেশি না কথা বললে শুরু করি। আর হ্যাঁ গাইস, এটা ইংলিশে কথা।
Cute girl confess her feelings to you in another language, unaware that you can understand her. Now you have to pull out your best acting skills and pretend you can't understand a word she says. At Sari Academy, everyone watches in awe as Elisa, also known as Alia, walks by. They admire her. She was born to a Russian father, and her grades are the best in the school. She is excellent at sports and is a member of the student council. Just then, a second-year student named Ando approaches her, trying to riz her. However, Alia rejects all his advances, telling him she has no interest in him. Before she leaves, she points out that his necklace violates school rules. Ando stands there speechless. As she walks into her classroom, everyone's eyes are on her, admiring her. When Alia takes her seat, she notices Masachika sleeping at his desk next to hers. She greets him, and when he doesn't respond, she hits his chair, startling him awake. Alia asks if he stayed up watching anime. Masachika explains that the anime finished airing late, and the episode discussion with his otaku buddy took longer than expected. Alia calls him insane, and he accepts it. Bro is still feeling sleepy when Alia makes a comment in Russian. He hides his shock and asks what she said, but she lies. As classes begin, Masachika realizes he forgot his workbook, and Alia allows him to join her. During class, Masachika starts dozing off again, and Alia pokes him. Coincidentally, it's when the teacher asks for an answer. So startled from Alia's aggressive poke, his arm is raised, and the teacher assumes he wants to answer. Masachika stands. He doesn't even know what the question is. When he looks to Alia for help, she points to the wrong answer. After he embarrasses himself, Alia correctly answers the question. Masachika is shocked by her betrayal, but she insists she was just pointing at the question. In the middle of their argument, she repeats a Russian word, calling him a cutie. Masachika turns red. When he asks what it means, she lies again. Little does she know, Masachika understands her perfectly. He is crashing out mentally, but still keeping poker face. As a child, he often played with a Russian girl who lived near his grandfather's house, allowing him to pick up the language over time. Thanks to that, he can understand the cute Russian girl next to him who is fawning over him in Russian. Deciding to keep it a secret, he assumes she would be embarrassed to find out. The class bell rings, and Masachika pulls out his phone. Alia reminds him that using phones during school hours is prohibited, except in emergencies. Masachika claims it's an emergency, and when she asks why, he excitedly tells her he has rolled something good. Alia grabs his phone and sees a picture of Tsukuyomi, the goddess of the moon in Japanese mythology. She returns the phone to him, and as he continues to express his excitement, she tells him in Russian that she has silver hair too, and calls him a cheater. Masachika is stunned and asks her what she said, but she lies once more. They engage in a playful word battle as he pretends to believe her translation. During lunch, Takeshi suddenly explains that he wants to be hot with the ladies, but both Masachika and Hikaru ignore him. Just then, the whole cafeteria's attention turns to the ladies from the student council as they walk in. Elisa Kuyo, Maria Kujo, who is Elisa's older sister, and Yuki Suo. Hikaru comments that the Kujo sisters are so pretty, and Takeshi adds that he'd love to know more about Maria. Hikaru informs him that Maria already has a boyfriend. She keeps turning down boys who ask her out, insisting that she is already dating someone. Masachika comments that whether or not she is dating, Takeshi doesn't stand a chance. Takeshi tells him not to get a big head just because he's friends with Alia. Masachika responds that Alia keeps snapping at him, but Takeshi says it's better than getting no response at all. Masachika feels it's thanks to the fact that he has been sitting next to her for more than a year. Takeshi then says that if he could shoot his shot with any of the three ladies, it would be Yuki, because she seems approachable and more gettable. Hikaru informs him that Yuki has turned down more guys than Alia has. As Yuki and Alia search for a place to sit, Yuki meets Masachika's eyes and approaches their table, asking if she can join them. Masachika and the boys agree, and Alia sits down too. Yuki comments that she got the same lunch as Masachika, and based on their interaction, Alia, clearly feeling jealous, questions whether they are friends. Yuki replies that they have known each other since childhood and have attended the same school together since preschool. She adds that she'd like to be friends with Alia, to which Alia responds that being friends with her wouldn't be fun. Yuki takes this as a positive response. Takeshi excuses himself, saying he's done with lunch, and Hikaru joins him, but Takeshi whispers to Masachika that the ladies are too shiny for him. No wonder he isn't popular with the ladies. After they leave, Yuki shifts closer to Masachika, making Alia even more jealous. Yuki asks him if he has considered joining the student council, but Masachika tells her he's not interested. Yuki then informs Alia that Masachika was her vice president in the student council when they were in middle school. This surprises Alia. Masachika quickly adds that it was only because Yuki asked him to run with her. Alia mutters something in Russian, violently chugs down her drink, and then slams the empty can on the table. After lunch, they say goodbye to Yuki. Alia questions, almost as if making a comment, if Yuki and Masachika are close. She adds that she never imagined any girl would want to be friends with him. Masachika points out that there's one right in front of him. Her. Number her. Alia is confused for a moment, then accepts that they are friends before walking away while giggling internally. In the past, Masachika used to play with a Russian girl, and he learned some Russian from her, although he was a bit rusty. At night, they would say goodbye to each other, and she would give him a peck on the cheek. Masachika wakes up, recalling that he studied Russian diligently because he wanted to talk to her, but he doesn't even remember her name. He arrives early at school, as he is on cleaning duty with Alia. After taking care of a few things and admiring his work, Alia arrives. They greet each other, and Alia comments on how it's unusual for him to wake up early. Alia offers to wipe the board later in the day. As Masachika approaches her, he notices a stain on her socks and assumes she stepped in a puddle, but Alia informs him that a truck splashed water on her. She says she has spare socks with her and then uses this opportunity to ask Masachika about his former position in the student council. Alia suddenly starts pulling off her socks, startling Masachika, who tries to look away. However, when she notices he isn't looking at her, she becomes mischievous and asks him to grab her spare socks from her locker. Masachika agrees, and when he brings them to her, she asks him to put them on for her. Bro is shocked, mouth wide open shocked. Alia teases him a bit, calling him a coward. Masachika decides to help her out. The tables turn, and now she is the one feeling nervous, blushing and all. As he puts the socks on for her, his hand brushes against her leg, causing Alia to panic. She kicks him away, exposing herself, and then hurriedly exits the classroom, leaving him in pain. Later that day, Masachika texts his sister telling her he suspects he might have a thing for legs. Their conversation is headless and somewhat ridiculous. Eventually, Masachika follows Alia to apologize. When she gives him an opportunity to speak, she calls him a leg perv in Russian. He asks for her forgiveness, and she replies that she's not angry anymore. She apologizes for kicking him and asks if he's okay. When she tries to touch him, he gets nervous and his mouth starts running like diarrhea, thanking her for giving him a peek into the promised land. Alia becomes embarrassed and punches him away, cursing at him in Russian before running off. To her surprise, Masachika chases after her, still apologizing. After running around the school for 10 minutes, both of them are tired and take a break. As a peace offering, Masachika hands her favorite drink while being dramatic. She takes a sip and then offers it to Masachika, but in Russian. Masachika realizes she wants to indirectly get some mouth-to-mouth action. When he asks for the meaning of what she said, she lies once again. Masachika goes to help Yuki sort out things in the storage room where Alia is also present. After they finish, they all head to the student council office. Yuki and Alia thank Masachika for his help, and when Kenzaki, the student council president, arrives, he thanks Masachika as well. Before Masachika leaves, Kenzaki offers to buy him dinner. Masachika initially declines, but Yuki persuades him to go. Kenzaki also invites Yuki and Alia along. During dinner, they engage in a conversation about Masachika possibly joining the student council, and Masachika learns that Alia is running for student council president against Yuki. After dinner, they part ways, with Kenzaki walking Yuki home and leaving Masachika with Alia. Masachika walks Alia home before returning to his house. He sees a female shoe at the door and finds Yuki chilling on his couch. She welcomes him and tells him she'll be staying there for the night. Yuki is Masachika's little sister, but has been pretending to be his childhood friend at school. The next morning, Yuki wakes Masachika by sitting on him. She's quite the annoying sibling. She tells him that next time she will hide under his bed to scare him. They have plans for a date that day. While spending time together at the mall, Masachika and Yuki notice that Aya has been spying on them. Yuki decides to go talk to her, and Masachika has no choice but to tag along. Caught off guard, Aya says she spotted them a few minutes ago, but couldn't find the right moment to say hi. They both know this is a lie. Aya claims she came for clothes shopping. Yuki invites her to have lunch with them, but Masachika refuses, saying the place serves super spicy ramen and that Yuki might not be able to handle it. Despite his concerns, she insists on joining them. When they arrive at the restaurant, Alia realizes, from the aesthetics of the place, that she is in for a huge mistake. However, her ego prevents her from backing out. Yuki explains the menu to Alia, who decides to order the least spicy option. Yuki and Masachika decide to go for the same thing too. While waiting for their meals, Alia notices that Yuki is dressed boyishly. Yuki responds that she was in bed with Masachika that morning, causing him to spit out the water he was drinking. She adds that she wanted to wear something different, so she borrowed one of his shirts. Masachika explains to Alia that Yuki just showed up at his place and jumped into his bed by herself. Alia doesn't buy it. Their meal is ready, and Alia is scared to even try it. She summons courage and takes a first bite. She clearly cannot handle the spice, but tells Masachika she's okay when he asks. She continues to torture herself with the food, even when Masachika asks her to stop. Yuki then suggests she add a seasoning to make it even spicier, wearing an evil face. Alia reluctantly agrees, saying that one drop won't kill her, but it almost does as she can't help but scream in agony moments later. Masachika has to get her ice cream to calm her nerves while Yuki goes off to buy something. Masachika uses this time to ask Alya why she wants to be the student council president. She snaps that she does not need a reason to aim higher. When he inquires if she has a running mate, she tells him she would just pick a random person, as she only needs a vice president on paper. Masachika has flashbacks of when his sister was running for president. Once Alya finishes, she asks Masachika to help her shop her clothes. Knowing she doesn't have friends to join her, Masachika agrees to help. While shopping, Alya wonders why Masachika is being so nice. She assumes it's because he doesn't think she stands a chance at becoming president. Alya picks out numerous outfits to try on, and Masachika has to tell her what he thinks of each one. Determined to impress him with her fashion sense, she changes into the first outfit, not sure of what Masachika's reaction would be. To her surprise, Masachika tells her she looks great and compliments her very well. Alya is shocked by his response, and Masachika is also pretty embarrassed. Alya confesses that she didn't know Masachika had it in him to compliment a girl right, but she thinks he probably got used to it because of Yuki. She continues to try on different outfits, and Masachika praises her each time, boosting her confidence. For her next outfit, she chooses something smaller and a bit revealing, thinking that Masachika would like it. Just as she poses for him, she realizes Yuki is there too. Embarrassed, Alya quickly retreats, hugging her knees and wishing to disappear in Russian. Masachika interprets what she said to Yuki. On the train ride home, Alya is still feeling embarrassed. When Yuki and Masachika get off at their stop, Alya doesn't think much about it and says goodbye, only to realize moments later that they both got off together. Alya gets home, and Maria greets her with a hug. Maria asks how her day went, and Alya shares that she met Masachika and Yuki. She seems rather down, and Maria notices that Alya gets worked up when it comes to Masachika. Maria expresses her happiness that there is finally a boy who can move Alya's heart and asks if Alya likes him. Alya insists that they are just friends. Alya then narrates to Maria how they became friends. 6 years ago in Russia, Alya's class was assigned a group project, and she was excited about it. She went around making research, but her group members slacked off, claiming they had plenty of time. They even got into a fight because of it. Eventually, another group performed better and got the best results. Alya felt upset that her group hadn't taken the project seriously, but she blamed herself for expecting more from them. She concluded that no one shared her level of drive, and then decided to do everything by herself. Fast forward to when she transferred to Siri Academy, everyone was impressed that she passed the very difficult transfer exams. In class, she noticed Masachika sleeping beside her and decided to wake him up. They introduced themselves, and Alya observed that in different classes, he either forgot his textbook, was too lazy to run, or was asleep. She concluded that even in a prestigious school like Siri Academy, some students were slackers. During the school festival, while everyone was making plans for the event, Alya was focused on stitching her dress. As closing time approached, she told two girls who approached her that she would stay and work some more. The girls murmured among themselves that it was just a festival, and Alya felt like what happened at her previous school was happening again. She injured her hand again, but was still determined to finish. Just then, Masachika walked in and suggested she go home, assuring her that they could all handle everything together the next day. Alya insisted that she would stay and finish her work. Masachika informed her that the handicraft club had agreed to help with the costumes and that he had received permission to stay late at school. He urged her to go home, stating that there was no point in grinding away alone. Upset by his words, Alya explained that she just wants to make it a good attraction if she's participating in it, and she refused to compromise on the quality. After saying her piece, Masachika told her that school festival attractions aren't meant to be created alone. The whole point is to work together to create something special. Alya was at a loss for words. Masachika apologized, saying he understood she was doing her best and appreciated her effort. She ultimately decided to go home. The next day, festival preparations began, with Takeshi leading the charge and motivating everyone. Everyone played their part, and after a successful festival, they were awarded for their efforts. At the after party, Alya found Masachika sitting on the steps and asked to join him. He agreed, and while everyone danced, they had a long discussion. At the end of their conversation, Alya thanked Masachika for helping her realize that if she had tried to do everything alone, she would have never experienced the school festival the way she did. She also apologized for lashing out at him. Masachika assured her it was okay, and that he hadn't put in half the work she or Takeshi had. Alya then asked how she could repay him, and he said that he would like to call her by her nickname, Alya. When she asked about what he would gain from it, he replied that he would enjoy the glory of being the only guy who called her by her nickname. Just then, 3 boys approached Alya, asking her to dance with them. While they argued over who would get the dance with her, Masachika took her hand, claiming she was already taken. He led her to the dance floor, and she felt her heart racing. The next day, in school, Masachika was once again asleep. He woke up to find Alya looking at him like he was human garbage, and she remarked in Russian that just when she thought he was cool last night, after her narration, Maria now understands what made Alya fall for Masachika. However, Alya continues to argue that it's not like that, insisting they are just friends. Maria, looking at a locket, says she can relate since she and Sukun were like that. The next day at school, Masachika goes to the student council office to cover for Yuki. Maria introduces herself, stating that he will be going shopping with her. She takes his hand, mentioning that it is a pleasure to meet Alya's friend, but then she suddenly stares at him in shock. Curious, she asks for his name, and after he answers, she seems even more surprised. Maria gets a hold of herself and apologizes. She then says they should get going in Russian. Masachika ask what she said, and she translates for him. They are supposed to buy tea, but Maria wants to buy plush toys for everyone in the council. Masachika tries to talk her out of it, and she eventually settles for just one, a kitty plushie that she feels resembles Alia. As they continue their journey, Masachika wonders if Maria is always this energetic, contemplating how much Alia must be going through having her around. They soon arrive at the tea shop. Masachika offers to hold the plushie for her while she gets the tea. The shop owner gives her a red tea to taste, and she takes it to Masachika to try. Meanwhile, Masachika is reminded of his mom because of the red tea. He then remembers when his father told him that he had decided to live separately from their mother. Masachika is sad, but decides to go with his father. Yuki, who is sick, decides to stay with their mother. Maria notices his sad face. She tells him he looks terribly pained and hugs him to comfort him, but ends up burning his back with the hot tea and eventually spilling it. When they return to school, the first thing Kenzaki comments on is the plushie. They show him the supplies they got, and Kenzaki thanks Masachika, saying that if he had left to Maria, the student council office would have become a theme park. He then asks if Masachika has changed his mind about joining the student council yet. Masachika replies no, but mentions that he doesn't mind helping out occasionally. Maria also tries to persuade him to join, but Masachika insists that he isn't worthy of being a student council officer. Kenzaki tells him that he was a fine vice president in middle school, but Masachika says he didn't have a goal and didn't use his position to achieve anything. Kenzaki explains that there's nothing wrong with that, sharing that he joined the council to win the heart of the girl he loved. Masachika is surprised. Kenzaki shows him a picture of himself from the past and tells Masachika that he wasn't good at anything and didn't like school very much until he fell for Chizaki, who is now his girlfriend and the vice president of the student council. He worked hard to become a man worthy of being her boyfriend, and becoming the council president was part of that. Kenzaki points out that Masachika doesn't need a suitable reason to join. Maria adds that it doesn't matter why he joins, only what he does with his time there. Masachika recalls a moment from middle school when Yuki told him to always be there for her, and he tells him he'll think about it. He then asks about Alia, and they inform him that she went to settle a dispute between the baseball and soccer teams. After getting a gist of the dispute from Kenzaki, Masachika excuses himself, deciding to check in case they're fighting. Meanwhile, Alia is trying her best to mediate the dispute, but the players aren't listening, and their argument drowns out her voice. Feeling helpless, Alia calls out for help, though in Russian. Just then, Masachika walks through the door. He announces that the student council sent him for backup and introduces himself as student council's general affairs. From Masachika's point of view, as he is approaching the soccer team room, he hears their argument alongside Alia trying to calm them down. He knows it won't work since both sides are too heated, but he says that it's good experience for her. Telling her to hang in there, he turns to leave when he hears Alia's cry for help. Alia is surprised to see him, but with his support, they're able to reach a perfect conclusion and settle the dispute. On their way back, Alia asks him how he handled it so easily, and he explains that he just used the information he had to propose the right solution. As they continue their walk, they meet Kenzaki waiting for them. Masachika realizes that it was all a setup to persuade him to join the student council, but he decides to go ahead and join anyway. Kenzaki is pleased and tells him to come to the office right away. On their way home, Masachika talks about how he feels he got played into joining the council. Alia interrupts him, asking if he decided to join the council to help Yuki with her election. Masachika questions if she would give up on becoming president if he says yes, but she firmly states that she's determined to run, even if it means going up against him. Masachika knows she wouldn't give up. She has always been driven. He declares his intention to support her, assuring her he will be there for her. Alia is at a loss for words. Masachika stretches out his hand, asking her to take it. So, moved to tears, Alia takes his hand, and he tells her they are a team. She says something in Russian. In that moment, Masachika recalls his childhood friend, realizing he still has the ability to feel all mushy. Alia picks up that he's thinking of another girl and tightens her grip on his hand. He tries to explain, but Alia thinks he was thinking about Yuki. She tells him to take her hand and connects it with his face, causing Masachika to fall. Defeated, Alia offers her hand to help him up, and they continue their journey home. Masachika comments that it's the first time a girl has ever slapped him. Alia is worried whether he hurt himself in the fall, but he assures her he's okay. They share a light-hearted conversation until Alia arrives at her house. She kisses Masachika goodnight and goes inside while he stands frozen. Masachika comments that it's the first time a girl has ever slapped him. Alia is worried whether he hurt himself in the fall, but he assures her he's okay. They share a light-hearted conversation until Alia arrives at her house. She kisses Masachika goodnight and goes inside while he stands frozen like a statue, hands on his cheek. On Masachika's walk home, he reflects on everything he said to Alia on school grounds and finds it all corny. He recalls Alia saying she loves him in Russian and realizes that she was genuinely flirting with him, contrary to his initial belief that she was just playing a "does he know what I'm saying?" game. He brushes it off, thinking that she must have gotten caught up in the moment just like he did. Masachika believes she's probably cringing as well. Remembering his parents' arguments, he feels love is a flimsy emotion that isn't worth pursuing. Upon arriving home, he notices Yuki's shoes but recalls that she told him she would be busy. He then realizes that Yuki must have been part of the plan to get him into the student council, which is why she lied about being busy so he would cover for her. He opens the bathroom door to find Yuki cleaning herself. He doesn't look away, and Yuki quickly covers herself, calling him a perv. Masachika knows she set the whole scene up, knowing she probably got out when she heard him closing the front door. Yuki stops pretending and drags Masachika back when he tries to leave. She asks if he isn't curious to know why she did it. She explains that they have lived together for years and he has never walked in on her changing, saying it should happen at least once in their lives. They engage in a playful argument and she tells him it's her way of making it up to him for tricking him. Masachika bursts her bubble by saying that showing her body wouldn't make any difference. He tells her that showing off is a turn-off and that peeking is where the fun really lies. After they leave the bathroom, Yuki stays in Masachika's room to dry her hair. She asks if he has decided to join the council, which gives him the chance to inform her that he has decided to support Alia instead of her for president. Yuki dramatically complains that Alia has taken her brother away from her, cussing him out, and they have an unserious argument for a while. Eventually, she tells him to make it up to her by brushing her hair. With no other choice, Masachika agrees to help her. Masachika apologizes for choosing Alia, but Yuki tells him not to apologize, as it's now a sibling rivalry. Masachika assures her that he isn't sick of her. As Yuki leaves, she reassures Masachika that he can come back to her anytime he gets tired of Alia. Outside his door, she feels relieved that he has found someone who can motivate him, but declares that she still won't give up. The next day, Masachika wakes up alone, without any disturbance from Yuki, and he feels she's really hurt and imagines her crying in bed. He figures he has to make it up to her. Once his feet touch the ground, Alia grabs his leg from under his bed. His scared reaction is funny to her. When she tries to get out, she realizes she's stuck and asks Masachika for help. Instead, he tries to suffocate her. At school, Alia is on edge, waiting for Masachika to show up. She tries to act casual but gets caught off guard when she hears him greeting his friends. He also says hi to her, and she notices he's glowing. She realizes he doesn't seem like his usual self and thinks he looks really hot, but immediately scolds herself for having such thoughts. In class, Masachika doesn't doze off. Alia assumes he's stepping up his game for her. She remembers all he told her the previous night. Suddenly, a ball comes flying toward her, and she serves it like a pro. Meanwhile, Masachika gets hit in the head with a ball and has to step outside for a little break. Alia goes out to meet him and asks if he's okay, genuinely concerned about him. Alia checks to see if Masachika is okay, but his gaze wanders to her chest area. He can't take his eyes off her and thinks to himself that peeking is really where the fun is. Alia then tells him to drink some water, and they walk to a nearby tap. After he finishes drinking, his gaze wanders to her chest area. He can't take his eyes off her and thinks to himself that peeking is really where the fun is. Alia then tells him to drink some water, and they walk to a nearby tap. After he finishes drinking, the way Alia drinks has an effect on him, and he has to cool his head, literally. Maria approaches and helps Masachika dry his hair with her towel. However, Alia drags him away, saying they need to head back. They walk hand in hand, and Masachika thinks Alia might cuss him out, but to his surprise, she simply asks if he's okay. That's when Masachika realizes Alia believes he got wet to cool off the part the ball hit him. He tells her that he's fine and shifts away when she tries to touch him. He wonders if she has entered a lovey-dovey phase. Curiously, he asks why she's being so nice to him. Alia responds that he hasn't been himself all day and that she's worried something might be wrong. Masachika guesses he's that way because he wasn't fully over letting Yuki down. He tells her nothing is wrong, just that he skipped breakfast that morning. Alia's face flushes red as that's not what she was thinking at all. Masachika adds that he had a good night's sleep, which is why he didn't doze off in class. Alia becomes upset. She couldn't sleep last night, not after what happened. Masachika tries to reason with her, but she walks away, saying she was foolish for worrying about him. She tells herself there's no way she is in love with him. After school, Masachika asks Alia if she wants to go to the student council office together, but she ignores him and leaves. He decides to join her anyway. Right in front of the office, they see some guys from the baseball and soccer teams apologizing before running away. As they approach and open the door, Shizaki stands fierce with a bamboo sword. Masachika considers running, but she stops him, apologizing for thinking the soccer and baseball guys had come back. Alia asks what they did, and Chisaki replies that she was scolding them for giving Alia a hard time when she went to settle their dispute. It dawns on Masachika why the boys call her boss. Shizaki looks to Kenzaki for support. But he just laughs and jokes about the situation, which makes her start hitting him. Masachika thinks it's an adorable sight, or maybe not. Maria walks in, apologizing for being late, and tells the couple not to play too much in the office. Shizaki then apologizes to Kenzaki for hitting him hard, but he assures her it's okay. Masachika doesn't see how any of that is romantic, but Alia tells him to watch his mouth. Masachika cracks a pun related to Shizaki and the reason they call her boss, which Alia finds hilarious. Maria comments on how close they seem, causing Alia to immediately switch up. Just then, Yuki arrives, and they begin the student council meeting. Masachika introduces himself as the new member responsible for general affairs and as Alia's running mate for the election. Masachika concludes his introduction and Tioya welcomes him. For a start, Masachika is to follow and assist Maria. Being that he has been a vice president before, Tioya is positive Masachika will catch up quickly. In the meantime, Masachika is to work with the other members, with part of the reason being that they're heavily short-staffed. Yuki mentions heading to the art club to discuss their upcoming exhibition. She says she'll need the company of Alia as the treasurer since she suspects that the budget will come up. Alia agrees to go along, but Masachika knows something something is about to go down, hopefully not teeth. Alya suspects she and Yuki have the same thing in mind, so she speaks first. She asks to speak with Yuki, and when Yuki agrees, they head into an empty classroom. Alya mentions she is running for president with Masachika, but Yuki says she's already aware. Alya adds that she has no intention of apologizing, and Yuki is fine with that because although she doesn't like the fact that Masachika isn't on her side, it is fully .I gratition. She isn't mad at Alya as well. Alya is curious but pauses as she's about to ask what's on her mind. As though knowing what was on Alya's mind, Yuki affirms that she loves Masachika. She boldly stresses the fact like she is trying to bait Alya into confessing her feelings for Masachika. Yuki is plain and asks Alya if she has feelings for Masachika. Alya stutters and is fidgety. She says Alya is a dear friend. She tries to evade the question, stating that she won't talk about it. Yuki has expectations. She pressures Alya into spewing. Alya is indecisive on whether or not she likes Masachika, but at the same time mentions that she wouldn't let Yuki have him. Concluding, she states that Masachika is hers. Yuki is a bit satisfied with what she has gotten so far, and as though she's saving the interrogation for another time, she suggests they continue their walk to the art club. Just before they leave, Yuki requests to call Alya her casual name, and since Alya doesn't have a problem with it, she agrees. Heading out, Yuki asks Alya to address her with her casual name as well. Alya is still under the after effects of the confrontation, feeling like she said something crazy back there. Masachika and Maria are neck deep in their work. Unlike Maria, who is, according to Masachika, performing like a well-oiled machine, Chisaki is clumsy. Tuya even has to find a way to get her to be someone else's problem. Tuya apologizes on her behalf, explaining to Masachika that although she's always like this, she's an important asset to them in club and committee discussions. Masachika totally understands, as everyone has flaws. Maria suggests a break and decides to make tea. She loves making tea and does it on her own, refusing Masachika's offer to help. While she's on it, their conversation on Russian doctrine sparks Maria's curiosity about his knowledge of Russian culture. Masachika says he watched a lot of Russian movies with his grandfather, which is his cover-up story. Following the Russian style, she serves it with jam. Masachika tries the tea and it's delicious, and in that moment, it reminds him of his mother's love for tea. Soon, Yuki and Alya are back. Alya takes her seat next to Masachika, with her excuse being that she doesn't want to sit at the corner of the table following some superstition of bad luck. Reading the energy Alya is giving and the look on Yuki's face, Masachika is certain that something really happened. He confirms the superstition with Maria, who explains that unmarried people who sit at the corner of the table will remain unmarried according to the superstition. Maria teases Alya, asking if she has found someone to marry, but Alya asked her to drop it, saying she just doesn't want to sit there. She adds in Russian that marriage isn't in the plan yet. Although Masachika is on the same page with that, given that they are still teens, something about the way she said it makes them all weirded out. The day is over and they conclude the work for the day and thereafter say goodbyes. Masachika and Alya walk home together. Masachika still suspects something happened between Alya and Yuki. He makes a stop and suggests they stop by the nearby restaurant to discuss some issues regarding the elections. Alya is fine with that, but expresses her disappointment that it isn't a date in Russian, which Masachika can very much understand. Alya's meals are all surgery contents, and in her defense, she claims that she is exhausted and needs a lot of sugar. Masachika takes the opportunity to ask if anything happened between Yuki and her, but Alya disaffirms in the most disbelievable way. She bluntly asks Masachika if he and Yuki are dating, and Masachika highlights that they are not. Masachika explains to Alya, who is still confused, that Yuki is only messing with her to see her reactions. Masachika gets to business, bluntly mentioning that they can't beat Yuki. She's currently the frontrunner in the election and has a lot of influence. The number of contestants has reduced a lot as people have given up on trying to beat Yuki. While he continues his rant about the elections, Alya is focused on the fact that they're basically on a date and wonders why he's insensitive about that. She starts gulping up her food to get Masachika's attention, and it works. She decides to set the mood herself, offering to feed Masachika. After much convincing, Masachika receives the food from Alya, and the rest of the people in the restaurant look like they've just seen a ghost. While staying there, Masachika notices, and it works. She decides to set the mood herself, offering to feed Masachika. After much convincing, Masachika receives the food from Alya, and the rest of the people in the restaurant look like they've just seen a ghost. While staying there, Masachika notices Taniyama walk by. Alya calls his attention back to their strategic discussion on how to beat Yuki. Masachika mentions that they can't face her head on. He adds that they need to run a campaign that appeals to the students as well as rally them to their side. Following President Tuya's story, his contesting for the position was first published as a joke, but as time went by, he changed for the better. People seeing his progress rallied by him. The bottom line is to make the public see that Alya puts the work into achieving what she wants. Just then, Masachika thinks back to the spoon Alya fed him with, still wondering what to do with it. Alya wonders about the same thing, but Masachika comes up with a plan. He makes an order and also requests a new spoon. As everything gets delivered, Alya mentions he didn't have to go through the trouble. Following her belief that Masachika was fond of girls, she teases him about getting flustered for such a minor thing. Masachika is surprised at how casually she is taking the scenario. Alya says in Russian that Masachika is the only one she'd do it with, and Masachika is honored, thanking her in his mind. He wouldn't want to blow his cover now, would he? Back to business. Their first opportunity to show the students Alya's efforts is the term's closing ceremony. Targeting to present a speech, Alia wonders what she should make her speech up of, but Masachika assures her she'll be okay being herself. Masachika's meal looks really spicy, like the main meal is just mashed peppers. He confirms to Alia when she asks that the food is good. As he offers to give her some, he remembers that she's not good with spicy foods. Alia, on the other hand, doesn't want to back down as that'll expose the fact that she can't handle spicy food. Unfortunately, a whole chili pepper comfortably sits in the portion she is given by Masachika. Masachika notices this, but his dark side gets the better of him. Alia digs in and now probably has the same experience as an amateur fire-breathing dragon. The effect lasts even until they're way back, but Alia assures Masachika she is fine as he asks. Alia is curious about what Yuki will do and who her new partner would be, but Masachika doesn't think it matters as Yuki is already popular on her own. He mentions that their kotif Yuki brings along people like Taniyama. Taniyama once closely rivaled Yuki back in middle school. He wonders in his mind if she gave up on being a president. Whoever Yuki chooses, they'll know eventually. The next day, Yuki introduces her new partner, Ayano. Ayano introduces herself, but Masachika looks uneasy. From his reaction, Yuki's threat level has increased. It's like being down 4 goals and then Messi decides to join the other team. Great, now you're really doomed. It seems as though Masachika and she are familiar with each other. Masachika strolls down the hallway, only to be interrupted by the call of his name. Ayano pops up, startling Masachika, who didn't see her earlier. After apologizing for startling him, Ayano asks for a moment of Masachika's time. As the discussion commences, Masachika asks Ayano to get straight to the point. Confirming that Masachika has decided to run with Alia in the presidential elections, Ayano mentions that Gensei, Yuki's grandfather, isn't pleased with the turn of events. He can't believe Masachika will stand in Yuki's way after abandoning the Suo name. Recalling everything Gensei said about his decision to go with his father, Masachika hates the fact that he's now trying to behave like their family. Ayano came to confirm on her own accord that Masachika is running with Alia. She mentions that her job is to assess anyone who's a threat to Yuki. Ayano questions the trust she had in Masachika, that he'll never do anything to hurt Yuki, and Masachika mentions that it isn't his intention to hurt Yuki. She's curious as to why Masachika is willing to betray and hurt his sister for Alia, and suspects it's because he has special feelings for her. Masachika clarifies that this isn't so, mentioning that he promised to help Alia win the elections, and he intends to do that. Masachika asks Ayano to deliver a message to Gensei, telling him to take up any issues he has with him in person, and not bother Yuki. Bro is really aura farming here. Ayano requests that Masachika promise his love for Yuki will remain the same, and Masachika mentions that whatever happens, Yuki is still the most important person in the world to him. He is determined to do this. Ayano is surprised but understands and concludes their discussion, taking her leave. Masachika can sense her disappointment. In class, Hikaru and Takeshi are on an idol magazine. In the course of their discussion, they ask Masachika which of the idols is his favorite. He isn't into those kinds of things, but after being pressured, he is forced to choose one. The idol he chooses awfully resembles Alia and Takeshi, and Hikaru feels he's into those types of girls. They also suspect he's making a move on Alia since he addresses her by her nickname. Masachika corrects and explains that he doesn't see Alia that way. Just then, Alia arrives. She basically judges Masachika for being with such a magazine even when he shifts the blame to Takeshi. They change the topic of their discussion, now discussing their type of girl. Alia somehow finds a way to fit herself into the description Masachika gives, but her happiness doesn't last as Takeshi and Hikaru start talking badly about her characteristics. Unknowingly, Masachika notices Alia is hurt, and they try to correct this, but Takeshi does too much, which only worsens things. Alia seizes the magazine and takes her leave. Ayano reports everything about her discussion with Masachika to Yuki. She still idolizes him, and from the way she talks, Yuki suspects she has feelings for Masachika. Ayano, however, says she doesn't, and according to her, just serving him is enough for her. She sounds like a depressed AI who just wants to stand on business. Ayano tells Yuki that according to Masachika, she is still the most important person to him, and this makes Yuki really excited. Yuki is okay with Masachika being on the opposing team, as that'll make for a better challenge than Alia, whom she doesn't see as a threat. She's curious about what change Masachika will affect, because things aren't looking good for his team. She is filled with excitement as she'll face off against her brother, who has always been better than her in everything. It's almost like leisure time at the student office as they play a card game. Yuki absolutely wrecks Alia, as she has the advantage in trickery and high IQ games. Masachika, Toya, and Chisaki watch and assess the game. They deduce that Alia is just too easy to read. Ayano serves them some drink, and Toya compliments her unique behavior. As he suspects, Ayano confirms that she was trained by her grandparents, who used to work for Yuki's grandparents. According to her, it isn't a family business. She chose to do this because she admires her grandparents. She mentions that she started on the path back in 2nd grade, with part of the reason being that she had realized that Yuki is worth serving. There was a brief stutter there, as she was about to say Masachika instead of Yuki. Masachika seems upset that she almost slipped up and asked to speak with her privately. Away from others, Ayano apologizes for almost outing his secret, and Masachika is fine as long as the others didn't notice. Toya asks if not making a sound is a skill in being an attendant, and Ayano answers that he grandparents severely taught her that. Maria later joins them as according to her, Alia asked her to leave. Alia and Yuki now face off intensely, and Toya hopes they don't end up fighting, but Masachika and Maria can somehow tell that Alia is enjoying herself. They run out of drinks, and Maria goes to get some together with Masachika. To To their surprise, Tuya memorizes their orders just by hearing them once. On their way, Maria thanks Masachika for siding with Alia. Alia hasn't really had anyone to lean on, and Maria thanks Masachika for being there for her. Masachika asks Maria if she deliberately hides her responsible side from Alia. Maria pauses as if preparing for a typical dramatic speech. She doesn't deny that she tends to be a bit relaxed around Alia, but she acknowledges that Alia is very hardworking and focused when she sets her mind to something which Maria admires about her. All she does is for the benefit of Alia as a good sister, and Masachika commends her for that, promising not to tell Alia about anything they discussed. Maria also mentions that Masachika also tries to be lax, but he states that, unlike her, he doesn't have a good reason and is just looking out for himself. Maria pats him on the head, which is uncomfortable for him. He wonders why she's able to break through his shell. Alia is walking down the hallway at school when a certain schoolmate calls her attention. She introduces herself to be Sayaka and asks to discuss with Alia. She criticizes Alia for running alongside Masachika, deeming it a classless move. She accuses Alia of stealing the running mate that Yuki had targeted. The situation escalates into a full-blown quarrel, attracting the attention of other students. Masachika rushes to the scene to intervene. He explains to Sayaka that he joined Alia of his own accord, but Sayaka doesn't believe him. She wonders what motivated him to team up with a transfer student. Masachika mentions that he spoke with Yuki about it and that she is fine with it, adding that whatever Sayaka is going on about is wrong. Sayaka is asked to apologize to Alia, but she believes Masachika is in the wrong. Sayaka approaches him and challenges him to a student congress. It almost seems like she requested trial by ritual combat or some serious duel, and the news spreads throughout the school. Sayaka is very serious about this, which comes as a shock to Masachika. Sayaka believes that Masachika should not be in the student council or the presidential election. Alia insists on taking part in the congress with Masachika because they are a team. After much conflict, Sayaka finally agrees and plans to humiliate both of them. Tuya announces the topic of the student congress debate to both Masachika and Alia. He doesn't get why they're agreeing to do it, but they explain that winning the debate will gain them legitimacy to compete in the elections. Alia adds that Sayaka insulted them both, so she needs an apology. Masachika sees this as an opportunity to introduce themselves. Tuya understands and decides he'll make the announcement. Yuki volunteers to draft the announcement and wishes them good luck. Masachika and Alia study hard in anticipation of the debate. Amidst the study, Alia asks Masachika if he and Sayaka are on bad terms, wondering why she did all that she did. Masachika explains that they had mutual respect for each other, and he doesn't know why she did it. His best guess is that she feels he is joining the elections for nothing important, coupled with the fact that he ditched Yuki for a stranger. Alia feels guilty as this is all because of her. She is determined to win, and Masachika is on the same page. On the day of the debate, Sayaka's partner Nonoa meets them. She is all upbeat and introduces herself to Alia. She goes on ahead after some small talk. Masachika mentions that Nonoa is Sayaka's childhood friend. She is popular and influential, which is such an asset. He asks Alia to focus on Sayaka. The students don't really know much about Alia, only that she has good grades. Alia is on the stage, unsure if she can do it. She is conflicted, and the crowd doesn't get along with her presence either. Just then, Masachika calls her, snapping her out of her nervousness. He helps her calm down and gets her head in the game, remembering their goal. Tuya announces and starts the debate. Sayaka starts strong. Her points are concise and fact-based. Using the pav of the students, she's again to get them to her side easily. It is now time for the opposition. Alia confidently goes to the stage, and following Masachika's advice, she begins. She debunks Sayaka's argument.
তো গাইস আজকের এটুকুই থাকবে পরে আবার পাঠাবো, পরে বাকিগুলো দেখাবো। তো সবাই ভালো থেকো। আমার নাম নিহাল আর আমি আউট।